Hello, everyone out there in podcast world. I hope you're having a wonderful day. You are listening to or watching the Service Business Mastery podcast. If you're watching this live, it's not our normal recording day. It's because we've had some crazy scheduling going on, and we've had a ton of guests on the show. But we really wanted to talk to Jeff with EGIA, and because they have an event that's coming up. It's next week. Is that right?
It is next week. I believe it is Tuesday, Wednesday.
The 20th.
It's 20th and 21st.
So
and
September 20th.
It's a virtual summit. So you don't have to attend. You don't have to travel. You can take your team and make sure they're kind of sitting in a quiet room and learn a bunch of stuff from these guys, which if anyone doesn't know who EGIA is, EGIA's got Weldon Long, Gary Alex, Drew Cameron. I mean, they have literally guys that have been around this industry for decades and have helped create best practice groups out of this stuff. So they're very, very good at what they do. They have a ton of industry knowledge, and it's always fun to hang out with those guys anyways.
Absolutely. That's LEAD 2022. That's September 20th and the 21st. This actually will be the last LEAD virtual event. But, and that's not the only thing we're going to talk about on today's show. We're actually going to talk about the reasons you should attend these events and how to prepare for an event like this. And because it's very easy for us to get overwhelmed when you go to an event, if you've never been to
it's like drinking from a fire hose, usually.
It is. It's so much so. But before we get started with that, I want to say really fast, one of the most unsung, I feel like underappreciated people in our industry when it comes to best practice stuff is Drew Cameron. That guy is, every time I talk to Drew, I'm like, dang, you're smart. Like he has so much information, and maybe it's just me. Maybe I've been living under a rock, but
I'll tell you, when I talk to him, he is like the most down to earth. He's like best mannered person.
And then we're not taking anything away from Weldon Long or Al Levy or anybody else that's in the
it's
public
how he conducts
view.
himself. I love it.
Yeah, it is. But
it's got a little like that old school vibe, that professionalism and stuff like that. It's just awesome. But anyways.
Yeah. But let's get started with the show. I'm super excited to talk about this and really dive into this, because it's very easy for us to go to these events and be like, man, that was really exciting, but I don't have anything to take from it. So let's get started.
Are you looking for valuable business advice to reach that 7-figure revenue mark? Do you want actionable tips to properly navigate through every business challenge you encounter along the way? Let Tersh Blissett and Josh Crouch be your guide in getting you to the top here at Service Business Mastery. Tune in as they sit down with world-renowned authors in business, leadership, and personal growth who share valuable insights about management, marketing, pricing, human resources, and so much more. Let their nuggets of wisdom gold guide you in owning a thriving, profitable, and ever-growing business. Here are your hosts, Tersh and Josh.
Hey, Jeff, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Hey, thanks, guys. Happy to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Before we get started, I got to ask you a question. If you watched the show yesterday or listened to the last episode that we recorded, you know that I got this nifty new stack of this deck of cards with random questions. So I'm going to ask you some random and a random question. You ready for this?
All right, bring it on.
Okay, here we go. So if humans came with a warning label, what would yours say?
Boy, that's a good question. Good question, Tersh. I would say that if I came with a warning label, mine would say that I would overwhelm you with useless information.
That's awesome. That sounds very familiar. That's like mine. I could probably say something.
Flashing sign, don't talk to me.
That's right.
Information coming.
You'll never need it again, but hey, I need to tell you about it, right?
Right. It's funny you mentioned that, because we had our all company meeting this morning. We have one every Thursday, and we were talking about different things. I actually pulled these cards out for them, and I didn't ask that question, but I said, I told them, I was like, we were talking about a random fact, and I was like, man, I know something about that, but I cannot think of what it is. And I said, I am full of useless information, but whenever it's useful to have the useless information, I can't get
Can't
it.
remember it.
And then as soon as I don't need it anymore, there it is, right in my tongue.
I can tell you a trivia night at the local bar, it does come in sometimes.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they're like, how did you know that
Those
random
are
fact?
fun to do once in a while.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're like, oh, I do remember something I learned 20 years ago.
And everybody around you is like, how did you know that? That's awesome.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself and EGIA for anybody who is listening and has never heard of EGIA.
Yeah, absolutely. So probably the first question I get about EGIA is what does EGIA stand for? What does it mean? So usually any presentation or any type of conference, I always start out with EGIA is the Electrical Gas Industry Association. We started out back in the 1930s as a rebate processing organization for utility companies. And that kind of morphed into financing for contractors over the years. And then back in 2016, you guys were talking about some names earlier. So we purchased a lot of the content from Gary Alex, Drew Cameron, Weldon Long, and we rolled all that tons and tons of information into a website that's now called Contractor University. So that's the division that I work in is Contractor University. We're a nonprofit organization. All we do is help contractors in business training and development. Me personally, this is I'm going on my 31st year officially in the HVAC trade. I grew up in it as a kid. My granddad and my dad had a business. So I unofficially started when I was about 8 years old, but officially, real job. Been here for about 31 years. This is my second year with EGIA. I've spent all of my adult life either working, managing contracting businesses or on the HVAC distribution side of the business. So really love what I do now. I get to work with distributors. I get to work with contractors and really talk about best practices and how they can grow and become more profitable. So that's in essence what we do.
That's really awesome. I didn't even know that about EGIA. I will tell you that a friend of mine, Tony, he's down in Miami. He messaged me probably 2 or 3 years ago, and he was like, "Tell me about this EGIA organization." And I was like, "Man, I see it. I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it." He was like, "Well, I think he's a Goodman. Now, don't quote me on this one, but I think he was a Goodman dealer or something like that." And he mentioned that their vendor or whatever was giving them a membership for it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, let me know how that goes. And I kind of thought that was gonna be the end of the conversation. And then he goes, man, there is a bunch of stuff on this website. Like there is so much content. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, dude, there's so much stuff here. Like it'll blow your mind. I was like, nah, I don't believe you. And he got on a Zoom call and he's like showing me, he's like, look at this and this. I was like, holy cow. Like this is, it really did. It blew my mind.
It's like you guys have taken Drew's, Weldon's, and Gary's brains and downloaded them. Literally downloaded them into videos. And then you guys are obviously putting out new stuff. I know you guys do your cracking the code type shows and stuff like that, which is, I mean, there's so much content. And the beautiful thing about it now, obviously you have to be a self-starter, but it's there. Like literally, if you have a question about a specific problem right now, financials, sales, marketing, whatever, it's there. You can search, you can look for it. My first introduction to EGIA, I think was we became a Daikin dealer, and I did the same thing. I went in and I saw the website. It was literally just like endless video. It was like YouTube, but just for what I wanted.
Right. Well, if I overwhelm you with useless information, the website will overwhelm you with useful information because it's all very.
I like
pertinent.
how you tied that together.
I know, right? So it's been a long week of travel already, but every now and then I'll pull one out. So yeah, very useful information for contractors. You talked about Gary Weldon and Drew. So one of the things we did when we purchased that content, put it into mycontractoruniversity.com. We also left these guys on with us as on a retainer, I should say. So Some people prefer to go to live classes. Some people prefer to go to virtual classes rather than just looking at the online content, which is great. So these guys do continue to teach classes for us in various different formats. So you kind of have the combination, right? You can be a self-starter, you can get everything you need on the website, or you might say, hey, I want to attend one of these events. I want to mingle with my peers in an in-person event, or maybe I want to have my team on a virtual event. So we try to make the content accessible for any type of format that our member may want to participate in.
That is really awesome. That's great.
So virtual events, obviously people have gotten used to those over the last couple years. And I know we mentioned, either Tersh mentioned already, that this is going to be, either he mentioned or you mentioned, somebody mentioned it, that this is going to be the last virtual summit. You guys are going to put all your effort into Epic because people want to start getting back in person. So maybe just to refresh, because sometimes like I sign up for virtual things all the time, like these webinars and stuff. And I know personally, I don't do a great job of blocking distractions. And all of a sudden I'm emailing, I'm texting, I'm like, I'm going to grab food, I'm doing all these things. And I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't really learn anything. So do you have some tips or suggestions for the people that are listening to this on things, how they can prepare themselves, maybe who in their business would benefit from your event coming up here?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll continue to do virtual training classes, but this is going to be our last big virtual leadership conference. So it's Lead 2022. As the guys mentioned, it's next Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm going to say 2.5, 3 hours each day. So one thing is we try not to overwhelm our audience with an all-day virtual conference. I mean, those just don't work, right? But our emphasis this year is going to be on leadership and management development, which we get information back. We have over 1,300 members in our member base right now. So this is one of the biggest topics that they tell us, hey, I want to have this, right? I've got people coming up in the organization. I need to train them. Maybe the owners or the general managers want to step out of that spot, and move somebody into that spot. Or maybe you're wanting to delegate some of that responsibility. How do you do that? That can be kind of tough in a contracting business because you're wearing so many hats, right? So we really wanted to focus on leadership development, mid-level management processes, and also some tips and some steps to be able to make sure you have clear communication, expectations, and roles, and so that you can put a process and a plan together. It kind of dives over into HR a little bit as well too, of what you need to do to be able to take your business to that next level. So we've got some really exciting speakers lined up. We have Bill Walton, former college NBA basketball star, is our headline keynote speaker. He's going to be talking about teamwork and things that he's learned from some of the greatest coaches over the years and how you can apply that to your business. So in terms of preparation, as Josh mentioned, I encourage anyone on this virtual conference to have additional people in your organization involved. Get away from your normal routine, get away from your office, maybe set up in a conference room or something and have those people in there with you so you can really dial in and focus and not get distracted by everything that happens in the course of a normal day. And I think you'll thank yourself for doing that because there's going to be really solid content here.
So I'm going to go ahead, Tersh.
No, you go.
I was going to say, I love the fact that you guys are taking this virtual summit and you're focusing on just a couple things. Because like we said, sometimes Tersh and I have been to live events, virtual events, and it is like literally drinking from a huge fire hose. And you come back and you're like, where do I start? What's the first thing I should do? And the fact that you're focusing on leadership skills, leadership training, communication, that type of stuff does not get enough. It doesn't get enough sunshine, if you will. It doesn't, there's too many about sales and marketing and all these different things, where leadership is really one of the most impactful things your business can ever have happen is to develop more leaders. Otherwise, the owner is always going to be the only person answering everybody's question, and they're going to work 90 hours a week. So I love that you guys are focused. The content's focused instead of all over the place, like a little bit of sales, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So that way a team can bring in their managers or whoever those high level people are and start developing them into leaders for the business in the future.
Jeff, let me ask you really quick this. Did you want to add anything else on that, Josh, while you're up on that soapbox?
No, I'm done. I shut up now. I turned my mic off, or you turned my mic off. Somebody did.
Involuntarily muted, we call that.
No, when we're coming to these types of events, we've all attended these, and we've said this a couple times on the show already. It's not difficult to leave the event and say, I have if you're in person, you have your goodie bag with all of your vendors, items in it, and then not necessarily have a roadmap, a clear plan of what to do with that information when you leave. Before we even go to an event like this, even if it's a virtual event, even if it's not 8 hours a day for 2 days, a couple hours each day, what's a few steps that we can take to really, I don't know, take away as much as possible from an event like this?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and we get that question a lot. And my advice would be, first of all, look at your organization right now. If you want to grow and you want to take your company to the next level, what are the steps that are needed in order for that to happen? And the obvious question that a lot of time gets overlooked is the fact that we have to develop our people. We have to put systems and processes in place. Maybe it's just starting with an org chart. What does that look like, and how do I get there? So you have to focus on what is my challenge right now, and decide to come away with 2 or 3 tips out of the conference. So I know if I'm willing to grow and put the effort into growing my company, I know I have to have people development. That falls on me as a leader. That falls on me, and not necessarily just the owner of the company, right? We're talking about maybe service managers, install managers. We're talking about office managers. Anyone that's in any type of a leadership position, your role is to develop your people. So I would come into this conference, with trying to come away with 2 or 3 tips that I can come in back to my company the next day and execute that. There might be 10 things that you want to get out of it, but really focus on 2 or 3 things that said, you know what, we can do this. This will make a difference. Let's come back and execute this into our business. So that's a long-winded answer of saying, identify what the pain points are, what you want to focus on, and then decide that you're going to come away with 2 or 3 trips that you can really implement into that business right away. And people can say that, hey, you're serious about this, and you're serious about management development, employee development. I think that'll go a long, long way.
I think it empowers the team too, especially if you bring them to it. A couple of your team members, your office manager, your service manager, general manager, whatever the case is, empowers your team too, to make them feel like they're part of building the company instead of just being told what to do. I usually try to, anytime I can bring my team into some kind of training and bring them with me and sit there with them and learn, I think it's a great opportunity to bond, but also to gel together, to like, hey, we're all moving this boat in the same direction. We're learning the same things, and we can kind of move forward together.
That's a great point, because I think that a lot of times virtual conference is going to be tough, right? Distractions are easy to creep in. You got the text message going, phones ringing, emails are popping through. Get yourself in a room with other people. A lot of times when you're in the room with other people, you can kind of hold each other accountable to stay focused on the topic at hand. So that's
just make sure,
tip,
just make sure if you're in the back, you don't have that person doesn't have their phone.
Exactly.
That's always the person that's looking. Oh yeah, I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what time on the 20th and 21st does the event start? Just for people that are listening that might want to know, like what time of day it is.
Yeah, let me pull that up for you real quick. So it's going to be on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. If you go to mycontractoruniversity.com, there will be a link there that says Lead 2022, and there is a an agenda in there. So we're going to kick off with Bill Walton on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific. So, we know we have people across different time zones, so we try to make it possible for them to be able to view from any location. So he's going to kick off with our keynote. Each one of these sessions is about 45 minutes in length. So the entire conference is from 1 p.m. to 3:15 Eastern time on Tuesday. And then the same time on Wednesday. On Wednesday, we'll go into a little bit more in depth about the blocking and tackling of leadership development and management development. So Tuesday and Wednesday, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay. So it's not in the morning. It's not in the morning rush. So you get time to get your team settled, or at least your some of your technicians and stuff. And then you guys can spend time after lunch kind of closing out the day.
Absolutely.
One last thing before we wrap things up here. I do want to add one more tip for people, and maybe I'm biased on this, but carrying a voice recorder of some sort, even if it's a voice recorder on your phone, I find that that's very helpful for while I'm on site at an event or virtually attending an event. Record the thought that you have and just say, revisit this time. So you're going to, whatever breakout room you're in, the time, the date, that way you can go back and find that, specific thing. And I wouldn't make it long-winded, because if it's super long-winded, you won't watch it. So like whenever we're listening to it, whenever we're doing our recording at events and stuff like that, and I'm trying to find information about one specific thing, like I want to join all these different podcast episodes together, it's very difficult to listen to every single thing you've recorded. So a really short voice note, it's awesome to be able to say, okay, yep, that's exactly what I want. And it's great if you have something that's able to transcribe that information also. But that's my little tip. And maybe it's because I'm biased because of podcasting, but I think it's easy to organize it that way. I think, in my opinion.
Good idea. I like that.
Yeah, it's a great tip. So so we have it on the bottom of the screen, but if anyone is interested in attending LEAD, the link is down below. It's lead2022event.com. You can register there. If you're already an EGI member, I don't think there's any cost. I think a non-member is like $99, something like that, for $99 per person, something like that. So it's very, very affordable especially for who is going to be presenting the information to you guys. So check it out. Obviously, let us know how it is. I mean, we were at the live event last year. Tersh and I were at Epic, and it was fantastic. We love the event. So we're looking forward to the 2023 version, because I know you guys got some new speakers and stuff like that. So, and EGI usually puts on very classy events for anyone that's listening.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, we're going to be at Caesar's Palace for Epic next year in March 16th and 17th. So that's also on our website if you guys want to take a sneak peek of that and check it out.
All right, cool. Jeff, we appreciate you hanging out with us and sharing a little bit about EGIA and everything that y'all have going on. Is there anything that we forgot to ask you?
I don't know.
I'm sure there's tons.
Yeah, cool. I've enjoyed it, guys. Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. If y'all have any questions about this, don't hesitate to reach out to the team at EGIA. If you're not a member of EGIA, it's very easy to get signed up. I did see on there, I think it's for this particular virtual event, if you are a member, I think it's free for this event, and $99 a person if you're not a member. So totally worth the membership for sure. But with that being said, I hope everybody has a wonderful and safe rest of the day until we talk again next time. We'll talk to you soon. See you.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Service Business Mastery. Now that you are equipped with essential business advice from this impactful conversation, you are one step closer to becoming the successful owner of your dreams. If this episode has been helpful to your business journey, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share it with other owners as well. Visit servicebusinessmastery.com to